The 2D fighting game, competition at its most pure and primal. It's a genre that finds its roots in the traditional Greek spirit of competition and the modern-day spectacle of kangaroo boxing. Sparking people's imagination in the 80s, first with the mindless violence and inventor of the stage fatality Urban Champion, and then going a bit deeper with the Eastern aesthetics of karateka, the 2D fighter was cementing its place in the industry. Throughout the development of the genre, games have gone from good to shitty, to really shitty, to just downright mind-blowing. Even though modern fighting games allow you to move in a 3D plane, they still retain the core mechanics set down by their predecessors, except maybe games like Destrega, Bushido Blade, and maybe even Power Stone. It wasn't until the release of Street Fighter II that the genre got a clear blueprint to work with, and that paved the way for other companies to develop their own beat-em-ups. There was a lot of bandwagon jumping, and no one really got it right until SNK came along. Their games weren't as commercially successful as those produced by Capcom, but they introduced more innovation than any other company. Their two most influential releases are the Fatal Fury and Art of Fighting series. They brought in elements like an ability gauge you can charge to do special moves, preventing things like guys spamming you with fireballs like Ryu in Street Fighter. Fatal Fury gave you the ability to move between planes, adding a sense of depth and realism to fights. As in, if you really had to fight a 400-pound drunk guy, you'd get your ass handed to you. And geez, he can barely stand up. Disgusting. With their constant updates to series, adjustment to playstyles, and increasing attention to graphical detail, SNK kept the 2D genre flourishing throughout the 90s. The culmination of their work would be as much a labor of love as an exercise in perfection, the aptly titled King of Fighters.
Lady, go!
It took me a while to hear about the game, as it was not a huge hit outside of Japan. The first time I played it was in a huge sit-down cabinet at my local arcade. I picked Terry and Andy Bogart, as I was a big fan of the Fatal Fury anime, and Iori, as he looked cool, and the rest is history. At first I didn't get the presentation and feel of the game. I thought the game took itself too seriously and it lacked the big cartoony feel and sense of fun of Street Fighter. But after seeing Andy fuck shit up, I was convinced that this game was badass. The series came out in 1994 with yearly editions just like EA's sports series, with the final edition being released in 2003. My personal favorite is King of Fighters 98. You had a huge roster of characters with probably the largest selection of female characters in any fighting game, all mostly presented respectfully. Mostly. Now that I think about it, the game was a bit racist. Like, yeah, outside a Chinese restaurant, there's a guy chasing a cat. What the fuck? The large character roster and library of moves makes the variety on offer staggering. You have your charge type characters, fireball motion characters, counter characters, and throw type characters. You also have a choice of two fighting systems. The extra system is more of a hangover from the previous games and was dropped from the series after 98. You have a sidestep ability to dodge attacks, and you can charge your super bar by pressing A, B and C. But this kind of removes any sense of strategy, because as soon as you see someone charge their meter, you can just play defensively until it runs out. Once your life bar is in the red though, you can use your supers as much as you want, and your characters do look cool as shit when they charge up. It's a mechanic that doesn't really work for offense and was recently brought back in Street Fighter vs Tekken. Advanced mode is just that. You build your super bar by attacking and you can store multiple levels to use whenever you want. Your dodge ability now has range and you have increased mobility with the run option. Also, it's impressive when people see you pick advanced mode. So how does SNK combine all these fighting styles into a balanced game? Well, they don't really. The beauty of the game lies in its sense of anime realism. You choose a team of 3 characters, all grouped within their respective teams, with each team having a relative balance of character skill sets, but you are free to pick any 3 characters. This team system can lead to really nail-biting standoffs. When a character dies, he gets replaced while the victor gains a little life. So many times you have your team wiped out and you are left with one character to pull your butt out of the fire. Usually my go-to guy is Terry, but here King saves my bacon. And she even emasculates him afterwards. What a little bitch. There is a story arc spread across the 12 games, but it's never really explained or even emphasized. Most relationships you just infer from characters' pre- and post-fight animations. Like Andy the player here, just look at his face. He's like, bitch, my family's here. In fights, characters also display loads of personality. Like here, I fall for the same sweep twice, and I get freaking taunted for it. Here, Kenzo messes up his super, and he pays for it. That's what you get for choking on garlic, bitch. Okay, well that's about it, guys. I can talk about this series all day. My personal recommendation would be King of Fighters 98 and 2002. The latest edition, King of Fighters 13, it was okay. I played it a bit. It looks a bit funny, feels a bit weird. I won't really recommend it. Yeah, so that's about it. That wraps it up for another edition of the Cubicle review. We'll see you guys next time. Maybe. You never know. Merry Christmas.